So I'm here with Rob and Alix Crapper. G'day, Rob. G'day, Alix.
Hey.
Hey, Rob, can you tell us when you first came to Kuranda and where you met Alix?
Okay, well, I first came to Kuranda in 1980. I hitched up the coast, lived with a group of hippies in Cairns, came up to Kuranda the first time for the Jog in the Fog concert. And then the band left and I had to jump on the back of the Bedford van, and my first experience of Kuranda was driving down the bottom to the range, hanging onto the back. But it was a beautiful place, beautiful town, and I wanted to come back here. So eventually, about a year or so later, I went around Australia and I met Alix in Broome. And then we made our way across, and I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, Alix, so when did you fall in love with Rob, and when did you get married?
We met in 1982, we got married in 1984, and I liked him pretty much straight away, but we were friends first and then lovers, and we got married in Mullumbimby at my mum's place, and we'd already bought a little place up here, and we came back up here and had our first child pretty straight away, and then went from there.
Wow. Now, Rob, I've got something here from 40 years ago. I don't know whether you remember. I'll just push play. There. Now, have a look at that.
Oh, far out, man. That's the rowing club, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
Rob, look how young you were.
Yeah, right. I'm Rob Crapper from the Kuranda Rowing Club. We're a pretty newly formed club that's probably 2 months we've been going now. And we're sort of all geared up for the North Queensland Games. We've got lent a couple of boats from Innisfail. We don't have anything of our own. We don't have a clubhouse. We don't have any boats. But we've got about 140 members, so the town's pretty keen to row. Basically, about 4 months ago, about 6 or 8 of us started training for it. The venue was here, you know. We've got the Barron River, as you can see, and we just decided that it was a sort of sport. Kuranda doesn't have many sports. We've got a lot of arts facilities like the amphitheatre, but we don't have any sort of steady sporting clubs. So we thought we'd try something different. This is our social day today. We're trying to get as many people down the river and rowing as we can. It's been pretty successful, really. We're just tying up now. You know, as I said once before, Kuranda doesn't have a lot of sporting facilities, and this has captured the town's imagination. So I think we're a goer.
That's awesome, isn't it? That's great.
Well, there you go. That's you. But why on earth would you want to start a rowing club in Kuranda, Rob? Is this something you have a history of rowing, though, don't you?
I do. I was heavily involved in my later school years, and even after school I got in with a few crews in Melbourne on the Yarra, and so it was always one of my loves. I had been watching the Barron River, or looking at the Barron River. It was just the perfect place for rowing, and so I put out the word. I hassled people around town, and we got a membership of something like 200 within a couple of weeks, because I wouldn't let go of them. I was like a dog with a rag.
I remember you were asking people for money, then you wouldn't harass them.
Yes, that's exactly how I did it. Give me $5 to joining the rowing club, or I won't go away, right? And they handed it over and laughed. And I had 200 members, which made us a force with the local Mareeba Shire. Suddenly they were thinking, oh, there's people involved in this, which when they did the Bowls Club, they were trying to give us a piece of land that had a river entrance Jumrum Creek entrance to the Barron, but it was not going to work for us. So in the end, that became the sports club.
What happened was, when Rob started it, it was a club with no boats, but it very quickly was discovered by Innisfail Rowing Club, and they wrote to us and said, if we lend you boats, will you compete in the North Queensland Games? They're on in 6 weeks. So we said yes. Rob went down there.
Picked up this enormous trailer with the boats on. I don't think I did any, I don't know whether he had any licensing for it then, but drove back from Innisfail with a 4 on and a scull. And then we went through...
We trained.
And then by the time we went down for the games, we'd also scored an 8 and a 4 from the Queensland Uni. And so we used the racing 4. We never got the 8 together, unfortunately, but we went down and we're in the North Queensland Games. None of these people had ever rowed, and we came home with a fistful of medals because, to be fair, there wasn't that many competitors, but they were coming from as far as Southport. Well, unfortunately, the club only went for a few years because I was just doing everything, and I think I was irritating some of the members, and they wanted more of a say. So I stood back in the second year, and it went on still. It was great. We had other crews competing. We started beating Innisfail. We had our own regatta on the Barron, and eventually. I don't know why it died, to be honest. I was still rowing when I could.
We'd gone up to the Torres Strait, I think, also.
Yeah, maybe that was it. We went up the Torres Strait.
My dream since I was a kid had always been to live outside of civilization, and I always thought I'd live somewhere like the Blue Mountains growing up in Sydney. But when I was 17, I went on my first overseas holiday to a little island in New Caledonia, and when I got to that island, I went, nah, this is what I want. I want the island thing. So going up to the Torres Strait was a chance for us to just go and live that life, because it's all well and good to say you want to go live on a remote tropical island, but the reality could be something different. So we went up there for a year. We spent 6 months with Rob working, building houses on the various islands, and then we spent the last 6 months living on a little island by ourselves, and we just absolutely loved it. So it really cemented that dream for us to live on an island.
When MY came along, I was really wary of it. I thought, oh, this just seems like the same old thing. But I got talked into it by Al, and I went along with and checked it all out and saw everything that I wanted to get at it. And I thought, well, I mean, for me, it really made sense because I didn't care to be a plumber. I'd only really done it as a sense to help me build. But when it came to what I honestly always just wanted was not to have to work.
No, when you were a plumber, you used to say, if I could only get paid for the coffee and the conversation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What was the dream you were chasing with MY?
For us, it was never like all the dreams that everybody else had. They wanted fancy cars and jewels and things. We always wanted an island life, and we'd already come back from the Torres Strait. So I used to be able to spin the dream on a stage full of, like I'd be talking to hundreds of people, and I could spin this dream of this island thing where you wake up in the middle of the night because it had happened. And I walked down, I could hear this weird plopping noises, and I walked down to the beach and shone a torch, and there was just fish jumping out of the water in this absolutely mill pond night with the moon up, and it was gorgeous. And I could sell that dream to people very easily, like to have the lifestyle that you didn't have to do anything else. The idea was that it wasn't a business you wanted to do, it was a business that you could do for 5 years and then come away with it with a passive income for the rest of your life. And that was attractive. That was really attractive. It still is, I suppose, but I don't think I want to go into any kind of business now. What I liked about it was I thought that as I'm doing this, that I'm helping people get what they want. That's the point of the dream, right? You have to just dig into people and see what they really want and then try and work out a way to help them get it.
Well, there was no internet. You couldn't research like you did. But what we did do was we decided that we needed to be somewhere in the South Pacific. We decided against the Torres Strait, even though we had a great time up there. So we looked around at different islands, and then we ended up picking Vanuatu. So we bought the Lonely Planet Guide to Vanuatu.
That's Vanuatu, just off the Aussie coast. Yeah.
And
the
so
old New Hebrides.
we bought the Lonely Planet Guide, and we spent one summer at the Rainforest Resort reading it out loud to each other. And so we then, after reading that book, we picked even Epi Island as the island that sounded perfect for us.
And
it was after that that our friend showed us this property. So because it was so close to what we knew we wanted,
the serendipity.
It was one of those things that we just pursued. He went, looked at it, and then we decided to buy it. So we bought it, and 6 months later, we left the kids with my mum, and we went over for a week to just look at everything and figure out what we've got there and what we need to bring. And then about 6 months later, we then moved there.
And I ended up going through about 3 different portable mills that I could get from different places. I was cutting down timbers and milling them up. And all that timber was coming back to the house. I set up a couple of guys, got them going on it, come back to the house, and I pushed it all through the machine myself, every bit of it, through the thicknesser. That there's like an 8-bedroom, 4-bathroom house that we built out of it, all out of Indian almond.
What were some of the struggles?
Well, I mean, you're very isolated, so you've got to order everything from town and wait for it to come on a ship. We grew our own food, and we were accessing all the local food that you could get, including
crayfish,
beef and
prawns,
pork and, seafood. And
no sheep. That was the only thing. Never any lamb.
We also, some couples do better if they're apart, but Rob and I actually do better if we're together all the time.
Yeah.
So that kind of life, and with our 3 kids, we were like a little unit, and that kind of life worked for us.
Yeah, we built that house around us. We built over the shed and over the caravan. We pulled all those things out when a cyclone came. We just kind of built around it, and the kids were part of it. I'd be up on a ladder somewhere calling for a length of timber, and Elle would cut it and hand it up to me. It was good fun. It was a lot of fun. We bought the place in 95, moved there in 97, in the beginning of 97. So it's really 29 years that we lived there, pretty much. I mean, always, it was wonderful, but I got to the point now with my, I got injuries and aches and pains and shit, and I'm just too old for it.
Yeah,
so
sure.
now when I go back there, I love going back, and I absolutely still love that place. It's so much going for it, but I'm just sitting around doing nothing. So it's kind of time to move on. Where do we go? We come back to this town, which means so much to us.
I think a couple of things. We bought the house that we have here in Kuranda now about 5 years ago, and when we finally decided to actually sell the whole of Epi and come back, the fact that we had the house here made a big difference to how I felt. I felt much better about coming back here. But I think, honestly, the friends that we had here 30 years ago when we left, they're all still here.
Yeah.
They're all still our friends, and we were able to just walk back in. And to me, those friends are like a wealth. They're like, I'm rich with that.
The difference.
And now, where before 30 years ago we all sat around down the river or watching our kids play, now we get together and we watch our grandkids play together,
yes.
and it's really cool.
Well, on behalf of the people of Kuranda, we'd like to welcome you all back again.
Thank
We
you,
miss
Pete.
you terribly, and every success in your future, because man, you've got a big past, and just relax now. It's great. You're welcome. You're home.